the detection of this variant has, as we've been saying throughout the course of the past, 3 days, has led to massive announcements of travel bans from the United Kingdom. The United States, other parts of Europe as well have done the same. One of the key tourism destinations in South Africa is the city of Cape Town, and it would have been at this time of year waiting to receive thousands, if not millions, of tourists for the summer holidays around Christmas and New Year's Eve. We're joined tonight by the CEO of Cape Town Tourism, Enver Duminy, to talk more about the impact. Mr. Duminy, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your patience as we listened to that briefing by the UK Prime Minister, and the UK, a key tourism destination for South Africa as far as the visitors we receive. How disappointed are you that you will not be receiving them this December?
Evening, Tembekele. I think we're extremely disappointed, and I think what I find amusing about Boris Johnson's announcement now is that the often use of the words may, might, it appears, we're going to be targeted. It sounds more like discriminatory towards South Africa, and he keeps saying that they're not going to stop travel. But yet, you know, they're uncertain, they're learning more hour by hour, and yet they take the steps against South Africa and Southern African countries to bar us from traveling. And I find that very bizarre and very disappointing. However, I think the impact it's already had on travel is significant. We've seen many, many people ending up at the airports trying to get out, and they're struggling to do so. We've seen cancellations happening, people cancelling their early stays or stays earlier. And then we've also seen some forward bookings also cancelling. So it's a bloodbath out there. And the consequences are going to be dire in the loss of revenue, loss of jobs. And it feels again like we are back in the same place we were last year. And I think the only thing we can hope for now is a strong domestic market. And we're hoping that whatever the president announces soon is going to look kindly on the domestic market and allow that to still continue.
And it's interesting what you were saying about the announcement of travel bans, right? In the last, 24 hours, we've had Belgium, Germany confirming that they too have cases of Omicron. The United Kingdom doing the same in the last 2 hours or so. But we're not seeing that speedy announcement of travel bans, and it makes you wonder about how honest the countries are, especially in the West, about the grounds on which they make those calls.
Absolutely, and I think this is the thing that I think we've all agreed to, even the World Health Organization, is let the science decide the course of action. And for us, the thing is the scientists are all supposed to be giving us and telling us, here's the steps to take, here's what we need to do before we overreact. And all I'm hearing is it's a political ploy. That's my understanding from what I'm hearing all the time. And it's disappointing because I think, you know, travel and tourism, especially in South Africa, is the one thing that allows people, because of the low barriers to entry, people whether in urban areas, in rural areas, to get an opportunity to get a job and be part of the economy. And all we're seeing now again is the devastation that it causes by people jumping the gun without understanding things. Even though they claim they're saying, well, we are going to engage, we are going to do these things, the actions speak louder than the words they keep giving us.
At the end of December last year, you had held a briefing as Cape Town Tourism where you put losses around the end-of-year tourism season at well over 120 million, 12,000 or so jobs you said had been affected, if I recall those numbers correctly. Are you expecting more or less the same this year as far as the quantifying of the losses?
Yeah, so the last time we spoke, probably around the same time when we did that survey, it was mostly the impact domestic market. I think if you can recollect back then, there wasn't that much international travel, and we went into a significant lockdown for the domestic market. And upon then the service and research we had done, the impact was about 2 billion rand in lost revenue and about almost 12 or 13,000 jobs that were lost. And I think this is why we are hoping that, you know, the domestic market will continue to save us. And we're hoping that the president and the NCCC make wise decisions and not be heavy-handed like they were last time. We are asking them, of course, you know, we want to make sure that we stick to protocols, and that's what the industry has been doing. All our operating procedures have been updated. Safety is a priority, whether you are an accommodation provider, a tour operator, an attraction, a restaurant. And we take it quite seriously. And all we're asking for is some understanding from our local government, who themselves have been saying that the international decisions have been far-fetched, have been unnecessary and heavy-handed. So we're hoping that they are, you know, take their own words into consideration and hopefully work with the industry to find ways that we can keep the economy going, allow the people to travel, allow people to do so safely, and of course making sure that we can get as many people vaccinated.
And realistically, how long can Cape Town survive on domestic travel income alone?
I think the last time we did that projections, we were looking at saying if it's only domestic, we could probably look at 6 months best case. But again, I think if you look at it, this has been an ongoing problem, so the chances might even be slimmer. I think at the end of the day is that we had gone through almost now 24 months of no real revenue. And the thing is that all the savings are up. The credit is high, that people are sitting with loans. And we were so excited for this upcoming season, and we started seeing the demand come back. And a lot of people who had almost given up when they go get their last savings, when they go lend from friends and family, just to restart their businesses, to go back to their staff and saying, I've got a job for you, here's hope for this Christmas. And all of that now is just dissipating in front of us. And it's difficult at this time. But the one thing is that we are a resilient sector. And we've gotten through this before, we'll get through it again.
Mr. Duminy, just to pick up on something that you were saying a short while ago about how you're not just dealing with cancellations for people who are coming to South Africa in the next week in December, but you're seeing the pre-bookings long-term also being affected. So you're likely going to be in this position for a while. And the other effect that we don't often talk about is that when these things happen, people become reluctant to pre-book, which has a direct effect on income.
Absolutely, and I think this is what we learned in the previous lockdowns, and also putting us on the red list. There is a long tail effect of all of this, and as much as you can try to start up the economy again in tourism, it's going to take a long while to recover. The question is that how much of our tourism products are we still going to have left, after this again? And I think the only thing that we can do is to ask government and the president to be wise in his decisions for any announcements, to work with the industry. There's rather do this together, because at the end of the day we've had elections recently. There were millions of people out there, and we didn't see a spike in those infections. So I think for us, it's about saying we need to be pragmatic. We need to take into consideration the big risk of job losses. And it's always about finding the balance between lives and livelihoods, not the one over the other. So for us, we are engaging with government. We are on all levels and all spheres. And I think we have put forward a case collectively of saying this is how we believe we should be operating. Don't close down beaches. I mean, we need the open spaces. And at the end of the day, the virus is going to spread. It's about how we slow it down by following simple rules around safety.
Enver Duminy, good to speak to you, CEO of Cape Town Tourism, speaking to us there, especially as the president and his team meet today, this weekend, to talk about the response to the detection of this new variant.